It always occurred to me as we went through these years of developing that we never had historical perspective of where our parents or grandparents or great-grandparents came from, what they did, how they lived. I'm doing this for me and for you.
When you're young, you don't think to ask your parents about their lives and what they went through or whatever. I always felt like I had time. It really never even entered my mind.
I never once ever remember asking my parents, tell me about what it was like. Never once.
I was born on 616 South Hanover Street in Baltimore, Maryland. And we lived there until I was about 10 years old, I think.
I was born in a middle-class area of Philadelphia, northeast Philadelphia. I have a sister. My father was born in the Ukraine. He was one of 6 kids. My mother was the youngest of 10 children and spent time in an orphanage in Philadelphia because her mother could not keep her after her father died.
I'm very happy to be 70 because my mother died when she was 41, my brother was 43, so I never expected to live past 40.
I originally was in Park Heights area, and then when my father passed away when I was 5, we moved to Forest Park. I went to school PS 64, Garrison Junior High, and Forest Park High School.
I loved playing ball. I was more or less a tomboy. I did take aerobics in my later years. I quit when I was almost 90.
I had a fabulous childhood. We were very poor. Birthdays were so important because we didn't get our gifts until the day of our birthday. We couldn't open them until my father came home. Everything was on the dining room table, and then all the neighbors came in.
In the summertime, we didn't have air conditioning. You sat outside with the neighbors. You waited for the ice cream truck to come. You got to know people. It's not like that anymore.
I didn't like Hebrew school, but who likes Hebrew school? And one of the days I got very upset, and I told the principal at Hebrew school, go to hell. Well, you had to know this. We only lived 1 block from the Hebrew school. My mother had me in no time at all, and she had me back up there, apologizing like crazy.
Unfortunately, I didn't go to Hebrew school. My parents could not afford to belong to a synagogue.
And religion was very important in our household. They wouldn't answer the telephone, and they'd always get somebody to come in and tear the toilet paper ahead of time.
My house was always open, and I've slept over at some of the nicest houses, largest houses. Everybody liked to be at my house. There wasn't screaming. My parents were very soft-spoken. My father was a difficult man, but he saved that just for us.
My father was a very quiet man, very quiet. If you talked to him, he'd answer, but he wouldn't look for conversation.
We got married in 1954,
Right.
so we'll be married 57 years in June. We met at Camp Saginaw. We were counselors. We met in 1951, and they said camp romances would never last. He claimed I went to camp to find a husband.
And she claimed she went to camp to take care of kids.
Well, what's the truth?
Both.
Yeah.
I wanted to go to nursing school, so I went to Sinai. And I did very well. I was 4th from the top of my class. I really loved it. And in August of '59, I met Harry Lichter, who was 7 years older than I. And we fell in love. And he was afraid that he'd be old enough to be a grandfather by the time I was ready to have children. And he talked me into leaving school, which I did.
I guess when I was 18 or 19, this friend, Harry Zunikov, we had known him for years, they lived a block away from me. Harry called and said, would you go out on a blind date? And I said, Harry, please, I can't. I've done a couple, it just doesn't work. well, please, just do this one. Well, need I tell you that this one was Phyllis. And whatever it was, it worked. And it's interesting, Phyllis always says to me, she lived on the second floor on Callow Avenue. And she said, I knew when you came walking up that steps that you were the one. So I was 22. Phyllis was actually, well, that was our first disagreement because we got the marriage license. We were remarried August 14. Got the marriage license, and I put her age down as 22, just like mine. Her birthday wasn't going to be until October, so she actually was 21 and 9/12. Do you know it cost me $2 more? I had to go back and get a new marriage license because she would not accept 22 on her marriage license.
Considering that we are very different, if they had done a computer matchup, we never would have matched. We are very different.
I think it's been a good life, no question. I got the right husband that I was very happy with, and children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. I can't ask for anything better.
I want to stay alive. I want to be healthy. That's important. But I want my kids and I want my grandkids to realize that I really have a love for life.
I'd like to say that we love our children and we love our grandchildren, but the important thing is that as a couple, we still have to keep our own identity and keep ourselves busy. We don't want to be on our children's doorsteps all the time. And if you play it a little cool, they come to you. And sometimes they come very often.
I'm just thankful that I was able to get to this point without being a burden to anybody, that I'm still driving. Believe it or not, I got my permit renewed, and I'm good until 2015.
I have said to people, Saul Levinson will have to find a body because we're not stopping.